Hi, I'm Rebecca and I teach Crazy Quilting and wool embroidery stitches here at the Bee. Let's just jump right in. I think people get intimidated by Crazy Quilting because it does look pretty intense, but like anything else, if you break it down into its component parts, it gets really manageable. Today I'm going to show you a couple of stitches that I use a lot in Crazy Quilting, and one special little flower that is absolutely the bomb. The first thing I'm going to show you is the feather stitch. This is a stitch that is useful for so many different things, and it's also great for embroidering with wool. And as an example, this is a feather stitch. And the things that, you can add French knots or bullion knots or beads or whatever onto it to really make it pop. Let me just show you on some white fabric with dark thread so you can really see how it's done. Okay, you bring your needle up, and I actually work this upside down, as it were. I'm going this way, but I'm using my needle like this. You make your first needle down in perpendicular to where your needle came up, and then you make like a triangle, an equilateral triangle where your needle comes up, and put your thread under your needle and you pull through. Okay, so that's your very first. As you can see, it's kind of like a little Y, but the Y tail can go in either direction. So you bring your needle down again, perpendicular to where your needle came up. Again, you're making your equilateral triangle, and you're pulling your needle through, your thread through, and you can see that it's heading off in that direction. But now I'm going to go in the next direction, the other opposite direction. And you can see that now it's going back and forth. This time I'm going to keep going in that direction for a while. And you can see those two go there, those three go there, and I'm going to keep going again. And now I've got 4 stitches going in that direction. This stitch is terrific for making seaweed or vines with lots of flowers on them. And I hope you won't find it intimidating. It's a stitch that pretty much any embroidery stitch book will have in it. The next one I'm going to show you is the Cretan Stitch, and which is, let's see, here, which is another stitch that's great for adding extra embellishment to. And the way we do the Cretan stitch is, just use this, bring our needle up, and this one I sort of tend to do sideways, and we take a small tack stitch and put the thread under our needle. And that's the first half of the stitch. Then we go to the other side and do the same thing. But you'll notice that this is the width of the stitch. Oops. Catch that. See, so that's the width of the stitch here. Now I'm going to do it again on this side. And again on this side. this works great with my little thumb trick of drawing the width of my stitch on my thumb, so that as I am going along, I can measure where I want my needle to come up and down. In Crazy Quilting, these stitches are usually done on the seams, but of course you can use them pretty much anywhere you want if you're creating a motif. So that is the Cretan stitch. The best thing of all is the one everybody wants to learn, which is how to make these gorgeous little flowers, these little roses. And that's what I'm going to show you. I use silk ribbon for these, and the thing about silk ribbon, it comes in several different lengths, but the one that you're most likely to find is a 3 or 4 millimeter, which would be this size. It also comes in a 7, which is another very common width. It also comes in 13, which is a little harder to find. But the way we work this is we put the silk through the needle. Usually when I'm working with silk ribbon, I use a chenille needle because they have these great big eyes, and that's what you want. You want something that's big enough that it's going to protect your thread. So I put the silk through the eye, and then at the end of the silk, I take a little tack stitch and pull this through, and now your silk is knotted onto your needle and you don't have to worry about pulling it through. You can knot your silk, or you can do like I'm going to do, which is I'm going to lay it down here and then bring my needle through that as I bring it to the through the back, as I bring it to the top of the thread of the work. Whoops, that didn't work, did it? Okay, let's try that again. I'm gonna take a little tack stitch. And then I'm gonna go through. And I'm gonna do that right here. All right. Okay, so for the little rose, I am now with my silk ribbon, I am up through the top of the fabric. I'm just going to make a little knot about 3 or 4 inches from the fabric. Now pay attention, this happens fast. Then I am going to just take little running stitches back towards the fabric. And they do not have to be perfect. As you can see. Hope if I wasn't all thumbs this morning. Either not enough coffee or too much. All right, so now I have all my ribbon from the knot to the fabric straight stitched onto there. Then I just bring my needle back to the back. And the knot catches, and there you have an adorable little rosebud that everybody thinks took you tons and tons of work and really took you about 10 seconds. That's it for today. Those are my little tricks and tips. Come to the beat, come visit us and get your creative on.